Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at Bitoku, this very full game of options, rules, content, etc. I'm going to show you how it plays with the solo component, and I'm going to give you my feedback on it so it can help you decide if you are willing to invest the time and the effort to get into this from a solo perspective. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe if you have not done so already to my YouTube channel. Now, this game takes a long time to set up. There's a lot of content here, a lot of little stacks and things, and I want to go over those with you closer up before I show you how to play. I should say show you a couple of rounds of solo, so that you're not confused. See, there's really four parts to this board, I guess four. This part is the Path of Wisdom, all right? And then here you're going to be moving pilgrims down these spaces, and you're going to be stopping either at these point spaces to get points and one of these little amulets, or at these gate spaces, get points, do whatever's on the gate, and then it allows you to start in this spot next time you bring a pilgrim out. And you keep going down. These little bridges allow you to fulfill some things you might have on your spirit or your, I think they're wisdom cards. Anyway, on these cards, you have different conditions to fulfill. If you fulfill the condition, you get the points at the end of the game. If you don't, you lose points. Okay, so that's what those bridges are about. Anyway, you keep on going until you get better and better rewards at the very end. Okay, so that's the wisdom track. Up here, you have the player order right there where the AI is going first, and then I'm going second. I'll show you how that can be changed later. And then you have the round track and the phase track over here. The game's played in 4 rounds, and each round has 4 phases. Really, 3 of the phases are more or less small and upkeep, and then the summer phase is where the action happens. Then you have this spot, which is the hills, okay? And this is a little annoying. It says the hills because they don't quite look like hills, but they're north of the river. So you just got to remember that, is that the stuff north of the river can only be accessed after you put your dice on the bottom of the river. And in these spaces, basically they're all very similar. They just let you get either a Bitoku card or a yokai card, I think it is. Sorry, there's a lot of Japanese in here, which is great for the theme. A little bit hard on my memory. Anyway, so these spots, when you move a die from here to here, you get to choose, do I want to take this card? Do I want to take this card? Or do I want to do 2 other actions that have nothing to do with taking cards? Get another wisdom card, place a pilgrim next to my stones, get a stone, or upgrade on the Kodama tracks, which is basically like I guess it's sort of a, not really area majority, but whoever's on the top of the track will score the most points, etc. So you have all these, and they are all identical. Then you have this space over here that manages your turn order. It's north of the river, but you place a die right in those spaces instead of having to go from the bottom to the top. Okay, so that might be a little confusing. When you put a die here, the one on the highest level, okay, so this would be the top, second, third, and fourth, you determine the turn order in future turns by whoever's up on the top. Okay, if you're not there, you don't move. And then you get bonuses or take little actions depending on those things. All right, then there's 2 more spots for the yokai cards or the Bitoku cards. Then the meat of the board, I guess, where there's lots of different things going on, is the bottom stuff below the river. So when you go to this spot, you get to take actions from here. When you go to this spot, you get to move. And moving has to do with your tracks over here, some Bitoku cards you're going to get later. That's what moving is about. So again, here, these 2 tracks, here is moving. This has to do with getting resources. Not on the board, just getting resources. There's 4 types of resources in this game: jade, stone, wood, and sake. And those are just right there. And then this final track over here is where you can get buildings, to build buildings on the board and get crystals. Now that little overview will hopefully help you to understand what is going on when I take my turn, because there's just a ton of stuff going on this board. It's not all that complicated. It's just hard to really grok with your brain at the first play, okay? And then on your player board, you basically have a bunch of stuff that looks like it's going to be complicated, but this is really a placeholder for most everything. When you play these cards, they're going to go in these spots. When they go in the spots, your dice become unlocked. When you unlock your dice, you can use them in future turns to start placing them in here or over here. And then once they're placed there, you can move them up to there or there, okay? And you have to be on these spaces to go to this spot, and those spaces go to this spot. In the multiplayer game, there are more spots. They're all the same actions, but it just flushes things out to have room for more players, okay? But in the two-player solitaire game, you play on this side of the board. The automa spaces here are really more or less a placeholder. You're not going to be playing any cards like I told you from here. This deck just catches them and you score them at the end of the game. You still will be unlocking dice. You'll still be placing your guys out. They'll score you some residual points at the end. You'll still be combining different things, spirits and dragonflies and such, to score, to actually get movement points. Crystals will give you movement points as well, and you'll have some preferences dictated by these different rocks. The main brunt of the solo game is executed through these three cards, and I'll demonstrate what that means close up right now. You're going to roll these fate dice throughout the game, and the lower die on the roll is going to determine which card it's going to be. 1 and 2 is this one, 3 and 4 is this one, 5 and 6 is this one. That becomes your active card. You set it aside or activate it or however you want to do that. And then on the card, it will tell you the kind of actions you'll be taking. But this is not the meat and potatoes of what's actually going to happen. This is more or less the second card. The first important thing you get out of the rule book, which is the Togama, or not Togama, the Tenju, activation cycle. Now, here's the problem with that cycle. It should be on the back of the book. I don't know why they didn't do that. The reason I kind of complain a little bit is because you either have to fold your rule book over to see it, or you have to lay this rule book, which is large, which is fine, out on the table and take up a bunch of table space. I found that a little bit annoying, so I actually made a cheat sheet right here, which is the exact same thing. I just made it smaller so I could execute this. As you can see, this game has a great but large table presence, okay? Had they put that on the back, it would have been nicer. They could have easily put all that information over here and put this credits and everything else on the page where it was. That'd be my preference. Doesn't matter, I'm not the publisher. So basically that's what you see going on. I know that's a little bit of an overview, but I think it's helpful because the main challenge of this game is that first play, to figure out what am I really trying to do here? What is really going on? Also, I didn't talk about these tracks, but basically whenever you take actions in here, many times you can just spend your die over here to move up on these little tracks. And at the end of the game, the person who's in spot number 2 gets 2 points, spot number 1 gets 4. These are randomly dealt out, as you can see, 2, 4, 6 over here, etc. Okay, and also it's bear noting, just so that you understand what I'm doing with the die are never really rolled. These kind of just represent your strength, okay? And as your spirit gets stronger, it's able to do more actions. So if I place my die here, and it's a 3, I can either take one of these dragonflies or one spirit. I could do so with a discount, which is what that little thing says. So I go down to my track here and I see, okay, I've got dragonflies and I've got spirits and I can take either or. And these are the costs associated with taking them. If I take a spirit, I actually get some points right away. This little thing means pay, all right? But if I get that discount, I get to pay one less. And over here, the dragonflies are not worth any points, and I do have to pay, but here I can actually gain a resource. And these little fire things at the end mean at the end of the round, whatever's left over gets burned, it's tossed. Okay? And the same kind of thing for these other actions. If you go to these spots, you get better actions based on, the die strength you have. Okay? You will also see some buildings come out here. And the buildings, you're allowed to activate one building when you move to a spot right here, if it's present, if you have at least that die strength. When you activate that building, you get whatever's on the bottom, and the owner of the building gets whatever's in here. In that case, that counts for you if the AI goes there, and if you go there, you just give the AI 1 point. So I think that is enough of an explanation so we can get started and I can show you what a few rounds look like. So to begin, we start in the summer phase, and in the spring phase, pardon me. In the spring phase at the beginning, you would gain some bonuses for crystals that you have out on your board. We don't have any of those crystals, so we basically move right ahead to the summer phase here. And in the summer phase, oh, and also you draw your 4 cards in your hand, which I already did just a second ago, and then discard 1. So you have 3 cards to work with in your hand at the beginning of the game. 1 goes in the discard. You still have 1 in your draw deck. Okay. Now, in the summer, we're going to alternate turns. He starts, so we're going to roll the die to figure out which of these cards we're going to go with. All right, and I got a 2 and a 2. So the lowest number of those is a 2. So that means we're going to be using this card right here. And this card is going to say building spaces. But we have to figure out, all right, what are we going to do? That's where the cycle comes in. All right, so the cycle tells us you have to go top to bottom on this cycle. And once you can do a full step, that's the one you choose. Now, what I recommend you do if you're playing this game is look for those highlighted words, because that's how you're going to, once you play a couple of turns, understand, all right, these are what I need to stop on. So at the beginning, it says if you're at contested crossings. There are no contested crossings, meaning my die and his die is right here, and we're contesting that. So we skip that. Next one, bottom location is available. That's true, but it says no unlocked die, but at least 1 locked die. I've got that. My attitude is active. He's not. He's not active. That's a little thing here. So we skip that. Usually steps A and B are never activated at the beginning of the game and come in maybe once in a while later on. It's number C, bottom card, or sorry, number C. Letter C, bottom card location is available, at least 1 unlocked die. I don't have any unlocked die, so skip that. Contested crossing D, 1 locked die, Tenju has associated resource on the card. So the associated resource is this little resource down here, okay? And it is a stone. He doesn't have the stone, so we skip that. Contested crossing, no. Home of Great Spirit has no Tenji die and at least 1 is unlocked. No. Tenji has at least 1 locked die. Yes. So finally, unlock the die and take the associated resource. So all we're going to do for this is we're going to unlock this die by moving it up and take ourselves a stone. That's it. Then this goes to the discard pile. These 2 slide down. His turn is over. Is that a lot? It seems like a lot. And it absolutely will be a lot for your first game. However, by the time you get to the end of your first game, those things will go quickly because you'll know what to look for. You know, all right, so I don't have any locked die. I go all the way to this step first. If I have 1 unlocked die, I go to this step first and see. So it definitely goes faster as you play. But at the beginning, it's quite daunting to try to wrap your mind around those conditions. I can promise you, though, it is not nearly as difficult as some of the conditional things that happen in some heavy games like your GMT coin games or other things. It is doable. It just takes some time to learn. So now, what do I want to do in my turn? Well, I don't have any dice to play, so you're pretty much playing a card first off no matter what. I have the starting resource of the wood and the jade. I could get some buildings. I could get a spirit and a dragonfly. I could get more jade and some sake. The usual thing you're going to try to do to begin is to say, what is around my stone? Because my stone, if I surround it by little pilgrims, I can score for each of those things at the end of the game. And then I'll have a preference on cards or a preference on spirits or buildings or of those natures. And I can look here and say, okay, in order to get these 6 points, I have to get 2 people across the bridge or 1 person way over here across that, a crystal, and somebody standing in one of these spaces, one of my pilgrims. All right, I get it. So basically that's kind of a starting place to go as to what to begin, all right? And that's, I think, the most overwhelming thing about this game is how do I get going? You really have to struggle, and I emphasize the word struggle through this first solo game, and then once you're done, you will then have a much more enjoyable time knowing, because you do go through the loop enough times to figure that out, where it's like, okay, next time I play, I know much more what I'm going to do. This is going to go much smoother. But that first game is going to take it out of you, all right? So anyway, what am I going to do? I'm going to play one of these cards, and I'm probably going to play one that starts off with a building. So when you play a card, you're going to look at the bottom and do whatever the card says. Then you're going to unlock a die. If I had a crystal here, I'd get a bonus. There's a lot of little things like that. If you have this, then you do that. If you have this, you do that. You'll get that after your first game. So I play that card. I can gain a crystal or a building. I decided I want to do a building. And the reason being is I want to kind of pump up my first couple of actions here with different things. So the building cost is what's written down here. So I start by playing one of these wood. I choose any building I want, and I place it wherever I want. And I think the one that I like at this, oh, you know what I realized? I gotta pause. I forgot to set up the initial buildings over here, which I will do right now. Okay, we've got these buildings set up now, so there's a couple in play at the start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard that wood, which I just did, and I'm going to choose one of these buildings. And I like this building right here that just starts giving me straight points, okay? And I also know that I got to do some traveling, a lot of traveling. So why don't I put this building right here? I put my little castle on it. I know it's not a castle, sorry. And I move my guy 2 spaces here, showing that I did something, all right? And that is just what it happens when you do the building action. I did that all because my card said so. Then I unlock my die. Now we go back to him. He's going to roll the dice. He gets a 3 and a 5. So the 3 is the lowest. It's the center card. That is now my active card here, which we'll get to. Now let's see what happens. So on my list, I'm not contesting a crossing. That bottom card is available. I'm not going to go through all this because I know step B isn't going to happen, because step B only happens when you choose this card. So you can always ignore step B if you haven't chosen the card on the left. Okay, the bottom card location is available, and I've got one unlocked die, yes. So this resource space is available. I place the one unlocked die. I do exactly what it says, okay? Place the unlocked die, advance the Kodama in that region, and take the action. So I advance his Kodama 1 space, and I take the action. The action in this case shows right there that I take one of each of those resources, plus I move a Kodama, the most contested Kodama, which is the one that is closest behind me. So he kind of catches up a little bit. Then boom and boom, we get some more resources. And then we slide these together. His turn is over. So it can go quickly if you know what you're doing. Now, I have a die here. I also have 2 more cards I could play. I do want to start moving because I have to get people to different spots over here. But I also like the idea of getting some cards that are going to help with that. And one card that is going to help with that is this one right here. So watch what I'm going to do. This is going to take several turns to kind of play out. First, I'm going to move this over here, okay? And then I'm going to pay this 1 amulet to make this guy from a 3, make him to go to a 4. So I upgrade my power there. The 3/4 action is available. Before I do that, I want to take my castle points that I just got here. So this 4 is greater than 3. I can take 3 points. Boom, boom, boom. All right. I could have done this too. That would have unlocked another die for free. I didn't want to do that. I wanted the points. Now I can move 3 spaces. This is a little obscure in the movement side or the rule book, but you can move when you have a guy who's available to move. You spend a movement point to put him out here to start. Okay. It's very hard. I don't know why. It was on the left side. It was tough for me to see that. But when you're getting going, you can spend 1 point to move to put out the gate. Okay. Now I got 2 more points. I'm going to go like this. That was 1. I need one of these, as you can see right here, to begin. But I don't want to get this one yet. I want the action here. So that was 1, 2, 3. The reason I do that is that way I can start here, but I just wanted to maximize my movement points. Once I cross the gate, I get the 2 points. 1, 2. And I get to move my Kodama up 2 spaces, 1 spot, and 1 back in another. So I'm going to look at this one. I probably will struggle the most to move this turn order 1. So I'm going to move him up 2. And then in this over here, I'm going to move this back 1 because it's the only place I can go back. My turn is over. All right. So go back to him. We roll. It was a 5 and a 2. So the 2 is this card right here. Lots of stuff on this card. It looks like, at least. Okay. So what we do is we take the action. We already know we have no unlocked dice. So we need to look for one that says 1 locked die. So we skip all these right here. The associated resource. All right. On this card, I do have the associated resource. Okay. So I can unlock the die. I can pay the resource. And it tells me to take the action. But don't put the die down. So there's lots of little things on this. But they're all straightforward once you put them in your brain, like most things. But I take the action. So this action said, look at one of the stones, or look at one of the spaces on the bottom here, and then make a determination of what you want to do. Well, this is a little bit confusing. This means refer to the AI's stone preference and then do one action or the other, whether it's building or spirits. I have a spirit stone preference, so I'm not going to take the building action over here. I'm going to go to the spirit action over here. I take my 3, he blocks it, okay? And then he does not do anything with this because he doesn't have the amount there. And actually, I don't think I would have to review this, but I don't think he ever really takes building actions. He only does so, actually that's not true. He will take the building action because that's how you get points if he uses it, okay? But he doesn't qualify, so forget what I just said. He doesn't qualify. It's a 3. His dice never move, so he gets to choose a spirit or a dragonfly. Because this was spiritually guiding us towards that thing, he's going to choose the spirit, and he's going to take the one that has his preference, okay? He has a preference of the blue air spirits. There are no blue air spirits out here, so then he's going to go for a wild card. There are 2 wild cards here, and here he's going to take the cheapest one if he rolls for it. So he's going to roll, and he got a 1. So 1, 2 goes here, 3, 4 goes here, 5, and 6 there. So he takes this one. Now that he has these pairs, he's going to combine the pairs. And the combined pairs don't give you anything that are on here. You just move forward 2 spaces in the movement. And you say, again, where's he moving? Well, there's nobody in the Bitoku spot. That's where he'd move first because we don't have any Bitoku cards yet for him. So he's going to start here, go 1, move here for 2. So he took my spot. I should have probably gone there. I forgot to flip this over. He took my easy spot right away, and he does not get the reward for the amulet, but he gets double the points over here. So he's going to get 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, another thing you just have to kind of memorize and know. His turn is over. We move over here. Back to me. I have 2 more cards to play. Have to do that because my dice are locked, or I can move up here and take either of these actions. Remember I said I wanted the movement? So I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to go here before he takes it from me because we are at a contested space and chances are he's going to move there next time, try to get what he wants. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go here and get this card for the movement. Now, they do give you these little X off things because that means once I've taken that action, nobody else can take it. But it is obvious in a solo or a 2-player game, the action has been taken because there's nothing there. Or if you have a die there and nothing has been taken, then you know you took this. So you don't really have to place those. That's fine. But I did take that so that I get a better card. And I also needed the better card because you're going to be discarding cards at the end of the round to score for points. And so you want those things. You want to be able to discard a card every round. So it's good to get them. Okay, back to him. He's going to roll the die again. He has a 2 and a 1. All right, so he's going to take this card. We're going to look. We're not at a contested crossing because we've already taken those. And again, we didn't choose this. We don't have any unlocked die. We only have, so we go to the contested. He's not there. Home of the Great Spirit and at least 1 unlocked die. No, he has 1 locked die. Yes, he does. So we're going to unlock that die. We're going to take the associated resource, which is a jade. There we go. You can kind of see how this is playing out, okay? Once you understand this, you go fast through it. Now I have a choice here. I could play any of these cards. I could do some movement. I do want to do some movement because I got this card for that purpose. So let's go ahead and play this card like that. Unlock this die. I get 1 amulet, which will be used for boosting things, and 2 movement points. Now, since I've had my gate over here, I can start here. So that's movement 1, movement 2. So I get going further down the track, which I'm happy with. That's the end of my turn. We go back to him. He rolls. Okay, 1, 2. He's going to use this one. We're going to go back to this. In this case, we do have an unlocked die. There are no contested crossings. So we're going to look right here, and it says bottom location, this is step C, is available on at least 1 active die. Or 1 unlocked die. So it is available. He could go here or he could go there. The thing about this card is it says his favorite, right? So I interpret that meaning that this space isn't available, so he's not going to go here. And so we're going to have him go here, I think. I have to look at this. I'm not going to look at it right on camera. Let me pause and see if that's the way it plays out. Okay, so after consulting the rule book, I see that it's only if it's his favorite. It is not his favorite because it's blocked. He doesn't just go to the building because he doesn't have a favorite there. So that means that condition C does not count. We'll go to this one here. The home of the Great Spirit has no Tenju cards, or no Tenju die, and at least one unlocked. We do have that. So he's going to go to this spot. He's going to get 3 points. He'll also get 2 points if I had any 5 or 6s out here below the river. I don't. All right. So that means he has kind of gone there and kind of pepped himself up for that. And then, okay, does he get the score 3 points? Advance, yes. So I got to advance him there. All right. Back to me. I've got one unlocked die and one more card to play, either slot. The unlocked die for me could help me get a crystal, which I do want to get before too long. So let's go ahead and place this unlocked die in this spot to get a crystal. It's a 2. Crud. I can't do that. I have to bump it up to a 3 to get a crystal. All right. 3 it is. So I could take a crystal or a building. I've already done a building, so I don't want to do that. Because it's bigger than this too, I get my little amulet back, which is nice. And I'm going to see about the crystal. I think I want to do this. So it means every crystal I get from this point on will give me 2 points in the game. I like that. I'm going to put it over here on my board. It's going to unlock another pilgrim for me to use. And at the end of the game, I'll score 2 points for having that unlocked. All right. So we're good. We're done with my turn. Back to him. I have to discard this from last time. Roll of the dice. Now, he has no dice left, so there's only a couple things he's going to do, and it has to do with things on the board here. We rolled a 4, so this is going to be our card that is going to determine if there's a choice. There is one contested crossing, okay, and this card says the bottom of the, let's see, it says the top half is available, yes. So he is going to take the action to cross over the river, and he's going to go to one of these spots that is the most favorite of his, in this case, the rarest Bitoku card, okay? Both of them are identical, so he's going to choose randomly. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 on this side, 4, 5, 6 on that side. It's a 4, so we're going to go over here. He's going to take this Bitoku card. He's going to add that to his path, which he will use to move on and get rewards and such. Well, really, it's getting points when he can spend movement points. So he is done now. Comes back to me. I can move over here if I want to go up, and I do want. I'm going to do that right away. I'm going to do exactly what he did. I'm going to move this spot over. Oh, when I cross the river, I have to do a act of contrition, and it reduces my power a little bit. I'm going to take this action right here, so that way I have some Bitoku cards on my path to start moving as well. And those are kind of rare, so I wanted to get that. All right, back to him. He's going to roll his dice. A 3 and a 4, so he's going to choose this middle one for that. Now, again, he is not at a contested crossing, but he is at a crossing. So we're going to get all the way down here at a crossing where the Yotu card or the Yokai card or Bitoku card is showing on the top half is available. In this case, it's his favorite. His favorite is either the mouse-looking guy or a wild. Well, the mouse-looking guy or wild is not available over here. So that's not going to happen. He's not going to cross for there. Location of the bottom half, we don't have an unlocked die, is added. He's just at a crossing. So it goes to the very bottom one, K, almost very bottom. He's going to cross the river, and he's going to take the first one available, which is going to be his favorite Bitoku or Yokai card. Doesn't exist. He's going to get the rarest of the Bitoku cards, which is going to be this one. He already has it, so he's going to go with this. And he's done with his turn there. I have one more card to place, pardon me. Oh, I should have started with a random dragonfly. I didn't have that. So now I have that. Let's play this card and unlock this die and get myself one of these spirits if I can afford it. And I cannot. So that's not going to happen the way I intended. But I can get another dragonfly, so I'm going to go ahead and choose the one that comes with a resource. And that's okay. I do like that. All right, we'll do that. We'll choose the card that comes with the resource later when you pair it up. And I do get to choose a resource here, which I'm going to get one of these sakes so that I can get a spirit next time. Okay, back to him. He's got no dice available. Pardon me, should have slid that down. So he's really got nothing to do. Since he's got nothing out there, no unlocked or locked dice, he's got nobody to crossing, and his attitude is not active. So basically, he passes. His turn is over. So he is done and out of the round. He's finished. I have really one or two more things I can do. I can place this die, and then these things are filled from a crossing standpoint, so that's not really going to help me. It is a level 1. It's not very strong. What I can do is I can spend this to make this a 2. Place this on this action right here. That lets me get the spirit that I was looking to get, which is this one. And I will get it, and I will get it now. That's not helpful, though, because that unlocks a die for later. That is not a good move. I instead will go here. The 2 would help me unlock this die over there. It doesn't matter, but I do get to do some moving level. I get 1 move. Okay, so that does help me because I go up here, I score 4 points, and then I will get one of these. Okay, actions are all done. Neither of us have anything to do. I'm going to pass because I don't have anything left because this guy cannot come up here, so there's no way he can't move here because, confusing rule, this is part of the forest, not part of the hills. Which I guess you can see some hills here. Anyway, so I can't do anything else. We go to fall. Now, in fall, what's going to happen is whoever's tops over here gets to move up to the tops of the turn track. There we go. We've got the fall done. Now we're going to go through the winter. Now in the winter, this is kind of like the refresh the game board step. All right, first thing you do is you're going to take all the dice back. His dice are going to come back. Remember, he goes 2, 3, and 4 like this. They do not move. Mine can come back. They can come back in any order I want. It doesn't really matter. In this case, I don't have any crystals bumping me up right there. Then, if I have at least 5 yokai cards in total, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can discard 1 to score some points. You betcha I'm going to do that. The tough thing is which one to discard. I think at this point, I'm just going to go for this guy. Discard the 3. I get 3 points at the bottom, straight up. He goes over here under the board. And I get the 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So it gets one of the starter cards out of my hand and under there to score some points. I discard the rest of those. Then I take all of these off the board, put them in a discard pile. Okay, so they're gone. And then I refresh. Oops. For next round. Then if there was any things over here, they get discarded, burned out of the game, and then we refresh by sending things down through the bottom, as you'd expect in most Euro games. Okay. And that is it for the winter, I believe. Let me just make sure. Oh, yeah. Well, now we're in round 2. This resets to spring. There we go. And I discarded those. All right, so that was a full round that you saw. Now let's go I'll go ahead and explain what I think of the game. Okay, so that was a bit of a lengthy playthrough, but I wanted you to be able to see exactly what this is like when you play it solo. And so hopefully that helped you. Because if you're interested in doing this, hopefully that first full round, you can then read the rules and say, okay, I understand a little bit more. Because I will tell you, that first game is miserably challenging on the brain to figure out. Not necessarily because the rules are bad, although everybody seems to poke at them saying it's not good. I think it's just one of those things you just have to muscle through. It reminds me sort of when I get a GMT game, not nearly as tough, just be aware of that, where you read the rules and you're like, okay, I've got to just muscle through this to see how it all goes. And maybe what they could have done to help with that is provided on the last couple of pages a couple of example turns that go from top to bottom, and you can just read it and follow through. That might have helped. Maybe they could have made another rule book that you could follow through that first round. That could have helped. It would have shown you what to do, and then you could play your first game and be in good shape. So it didn't happen that way, and so hopefully this helps you see that. Now, who's this game for? This game is for people who really like a lot of different interconnecting mechanisms. None of the mechanisms are really all that revolutionary. I don't think I've seen, or I've pretty much seen them in all different games. You got some deck building, you've got some worker placement. The worker placement is stronger with the die value. You've seen that in different places. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's all familiar concepts with people who have played many European games before. You'll recognize those things. You got the end goals. You got the set collection. You've got different things you can surround to get different points for different styles of play. So if I have a bunch of buildings and I have one of those rocks that gives you buildings. By the way, I forgot. The AI was supposed to discard one of the rocks at the end. See, it's just one of those things that you forget because there's so much going on. My mistake. That should have happened at the end of that round. Anyway, the point is that it's got a lot of interconnecting mechanisms, but none of them are foreign to you, and none of them are really all that novel either. Okay, so if you're looking for something completely innovative, I don't think it is here. That being said, if you're looking for a nice, deep, tactical with a smidge of strategy game, you've got a lot to love here from a Euro standpoint. If you like Euro games, this one has all that in spades. It is pretty tactical because the cards that come up are going to be different every time. The buildings are going to come up are going to be different. So there's a lot to explore, but there are some strategies in the fact that you can hone where you're going to put your guys and say, I'm going to focus on more buildings and more spirit cards this time that have buildings or whatever, or maybe more. I'm going to get a couple of rocks that have the buildings on there, and I'm going to really do that. Or maybe I'm going to focus heavily on getting a bunch of crystals so that my conversions of these things are better. Or maybe I'm going to get a bunch of yokai cards that fit with my strategy and fit with what I've got so that when I discard them, I can score a maximum of 12 points. Or maybe I'm going to spend a lot of guys in the pilgrimage up top and get a bunch of points that way. Or I'm going to do a bit of, a couple of these things. That's one thing this game is definitely a point salad. Some people don't like point salads. Then that might be a detraction from you liking this game. I don't mind them as long as it's not just, okay, I just play this game and I get points for everything and they're all about equal and it doesn't really matter what I do. In this case, you can make better moves that give you, tastier salads with bigger points, and that rewards smart play, which I do like, and I'm fine with it. Overall, I like this game. I like the payback. I think the return on investment for getting through that first game is good. I like the AI. Even though it seemed like it was tough, if you make yourself a little cheat sheet here, then you can get through it pretty quickly. If they had put that on the back of the book, it would have been fine. It's just so much table space. I didn't do anything to enhance what they said in there. I just shortened it a smidge. So it's clear what to do. And after you get going through it, you start to go through it quickly. So I don't think that it's a laborious AI to run, so to speak. And those cards, if anything, the problem was everything was kind of a one-off. All of the icons in the cards were like, okay, I got to look at this little spot in the rule for this, or this little spot in the rules for that, or on this side here, or whatever. They really could have done with a player aid example someplace that would have been helpful. And I know they tried to make a video on that. I didn't think the video necessarily, the video was like a retelling of the rule book versus an example of how it plays. Maybe the video that was the intention, I don't know. But this is not a beat your own score. This is a full automa. It's got different challenge levels. It was made by the master himself, Mr. David Turtsey, which I really appreciate. He does awesome stuff. Can't thank that man enough for helping me play most of what you see behind here in a lot of ways. So keep up the good work. And for that reason, I think this is going to find a good welcome home with people who are looking for heavier Euros with lots going on that have a good solo mode. It is, I'd say, more tactical than strategic, but there's some strategy elements there. So hopefully all this stuff helped you figure out if this game is for you or if it is not for you. I would tell you this, do not begin your Euro voyage with something like this. Also, do not, I know this is a solo game, but do not expect people to be able to jump into this really quickly. You're going to have to do some homework before you start. The homework is well worth it, and you'll get a lot of value out of this kind of game. And once I think you learn it and play it enough, it'll stick with you. I gotta imagine, and of course I just got this, that after letting it sit for a while and coming back, I'll still remember how to play. And that's good, because I wouldn't really want to go through those rules again. They're 32 pages, and as long as I remember how to play, I might have to look up one thing here or there that will still be something I can get back to the table quickly and play, because once you do understand it, it is somewhat self-explanatory as to how to take your turns. So, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Whatever you do in the future, have a great time doing it as far as gaming goes. And if you're watching this around Christmas time, which is when I'm recording it, please have a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And God bless you all. All right, have a good one.